You know that feeling when you open a jar of cinnamon and that incredible warm aroma just hits you? Or what gives cloves that really sharp, pungent kick? Well, that's not magic, it's chemistry. And behind all of that is a whole world of super rigorous science making sure that what you buy is pure, potent, and safe. So let's pull back the curtain on the hidden science in your spice rack.
Look, we all trust that the food we buy is what the label says it is. But how can we really be sure? You'd be amazed. From ground beef to ground cinnamon, so many products go through this whole battery of tests to guarantee their safety and their quality. But for spices, it's not just about safety, it's about authenticity. Of course, scientists are always on the lookout for the obvious stuff, right? Like harmful bacteria or mold that could spoil a product. But for spices, the real threat, the thing that costs the industry millions, is often something way more subtle. Yeah, they're not really looking for viruses in your paprika. Instead, they're hunting for a completely different kind of impurity, one that literally cheats you out of both flavor and money. So, what kind of foreign matter are we talking about? Well, it's not always just a stray insect fragment. We're talking about things like ground up olive pits mixed into your oregano, or even sawdust in your cinnamon. These are cheap fillers that are added just to bulk up the product and increase profits, and that is where the real science has to step in. So who even sets the rules for all this testing? Well, for more than 100 years, one organization, AOAC International, has been the one developing and validating these incredibly specific, globally recognized scientific methods. You can think of them as writing the official playbook that labs all over the world follow to tell the real stuff from the fake. Now, among the thousands of methods in that playbook, some are designed to analyze something a lot more subtle than just contamination. They're designed to measure flavor itself. And we're going to dive into one of these, a method that measures the very essence of our spices. And that essence comes down to these things called volatile oils. Now, the word volatile just means they evaporate really easily. That's why the smell of a spice hits your nose so quickly when you open the jar. These oils, they are literally the heart and soul of a spice. They contain all the chemical compounds that define its unique character. Okay, so to measure the amount of these essential oils in a spice, scientists need a totally reliable, repeatable procedure. One of the gold standards for this is AOSC Official Method 962.17. So let's pop the hood and see how this brilliantly clever method actually works. And this right here is the star of the show. I know, it might look like some crazy, complicated piece of lab equipment, but what it does is actually beautiful in its simplicity. This specialized glassware is designed to do just one thing, and do it perfectly: capture the very essence of a spice. The process it uses is called steam distillation. And if you've ever seen a whiskey still, or maybe even an old-fashioned coffee percolator, you've actually got the basic idea down already. It uses steam as a sort of vehicle to carry those precious oils away from the solid plant material. So, how does a scientist take, say, a pinch of ground cloves and turn it into a super precise measurement using this thing? Well, the whole procedure can take hours, but it really just boils down to 4 crucial steps. Okay, first you prepare your sample. You weigh it out exactly and put it in the bottom flask with a bunch of water. Then you distill. You boil the water and the steam passes through the spice, picking up those volatile oils and carrying them upwards. Next, you condense. There's a tube with cold water flowing around it that cools all that vapor, turning it back into liquid. And finally, you collect. The water and the oil drip down into this special trap. And since oil is less dense than water, it just floats right on top, collecting in that narrow, calibrated tube where you can measure it. It's a really elegant physical separation. But here's where the official method shows its incredible attention to detail. For some spices, like cloves, the oil is actually denser than water, so it would sink instead of float. So to get around that, the method tells the analyst to add a specific amount of a lighter solvent, called xylene, into the collection tube first. It's this really clever bit of chemistry to solve a simple physics problem. And the method can get even more specific. For cloves, after you do that initial collection, there's actually an optional extra step to isolate its main flavor compound, which is called eugenol. The oil is moved to a special flask called a Babcock bottle and mixed with potassium hydroxide. This reaction separates out the eugenol, which allows for an even more precise measurement of what gives cloves their signature punch. Okay, so We've seen all the intricate science and the clever glassware. But why? Why go through all this trouble? Why does measuring the percentage of oil in a dash of cinnamon actually matter to you?
So after all that work, hours of it, the lab gets a result. Let's just say a sample of allspice comes back containing 1.5% volatile oil by volume. Right now, it's just a number on a piece of paper.
So, what's the story behind this number? What is it really telling the spice company, the food manufacturer, and at the end of the day, what is it telling you? Well, that single number is a direct measure of quality, and it tells a complete story. It ensures potency, meaning your cinnamon is actually going to taste and smell like powerful cinnamon when you bake with it. It verifies authenticity, proving the spice hasn't been cut with worthless junk. It confirms that it meets international quality standards, which prevents fraud on a global scale. And, maybe most importantly, it builds consumer trust, guaranteeing that the product in your kitchen is the real deal.
All of this painstaking science, just hidden in plain sight. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? The next time you open your pantry, just think about all the rigorous testing and brilliant methods that ensure the quality of everything that's in there. What other hidden science are you looking at every single day?